Greetings everyone, I'm Kevin, and today I'm going to talk about my language progress journal. So I am a person who absolutely loves languages, and I'm currently working on becoming fluent in German, and as I've talked a little about in my recent vlogs, I am studying Thai as well. So something that I've done since I started learning languages. I mean, like, Swedish is my first language, English is my second language. When I was in upper secondary school, I decided I'm gonna become fluent in English, and I did a lot of things that worked for me, and I'm trying to do similar things when becoming fluent in German and fluent in, or not, I don't know if I would be able to be fluent in Thai. Like, that is a goal for another day, but I want to be able to like understand basic Thai. That's my main goal right now. But I have this language journal. I've had this since 2016, and this little thing here is all of the languages that I have learned previously. So that's kind of a lot of space. In this, I started off with Lithuanian, and then I learned Italian and Romanian, and ending up with Korean before deciding that I didn't want to learn Korean anymore. I gave up on all of these languages for multiple different reasons. Yeah. And then a few months ago I decided I want to learn Thai. So in this I started my Thai part. So this is the opening, and then the rest of it is just a lot of things relating to Thai. So I really love having this where I can write down everything, and if I would travel I would bring this with me so that I can, you know, look at my notes and be like, oh, it's this word that I'm looking for. But I set up a new reading journal, a language specific journal, because of this. This kind of gave me the idea that I wanted to track my progress in another place. I used this to track how I did with my first Thai test. I'm the kind of person who I want tests. I want, like, memorizing things is what works for me. I know that it doesn't work for everyone. I know that tests kind of can stress some people out. It doesn't stress me out. I feel more motivated going into tests than I do if I would just sit and practice on my own. I need a kind of like validation that what I'm doing is correct. So, and I don't know if that has to do with the fact that I'm a teacher. I'm a language teacher, but because of this, I feel like I would have preferred to track this test somewhere else, because as I continued every morning to work on my Thai, I just had to keep going back to this spread after doing tests. So I would sit 1 hour every morning doing Thai, and then I would take the test for the Thai alphabet. I don't know if, like, from what I understand, it doesn't have a name. Like Hangul, like the Korean alphabet has a name, Hangul. Thai, I haven't found a name for it. So if you know it, that there's a name, please comment it. But I wanted to have this somewhere else so that I wouldn't have to, you know, flip back and forth. So that's why I decided to do this thing. But as I said, I am also attempting to become fluent in German. I used to be pretty fluent, but then I stopped, unfortunately. That's the problem when it comes to languages and skills. If you don't continue them, you will lose them slowly. Or rather, your ability to do them. If you know how to ski, you're like basically a pro when it comes to skiing. You are 100% comfortable with it. You can be placed anywhere on a mountain and you can make your way down. And then you haven't skied, you haven't put on skis, you haven't gone to like that kind of place for 6 years, and suddenly you decide, I'm gonna ski again. And you expect to be where you were when you stopped, and you're not there, and it feels like you're a beginner again. But you know everything, like you know the talk, you know how it works, you know all of those things, you just can't do them. That's how I feel with German. Like, I know more than I think I do. like today, I have an issue when speaking German and writing German because I'm not used to it anymore. I speak German sometimes to my granny, but then it's very basic. Like we've always said bitte, dankeschön, those kind of things, like what time will we eat, like those kinds of basic words and sentences we do sometimes when we meet, but never like in longer paragraphs of German. So I've lost a lot of my German, and it's like, yeah, like it frustrates me. And so I feel stupid when I don't understand German, or German words come up and I don't understand. And when I speak German and I don't sound good anymore, I do think that my pronunciation is better than my vocabulary today, unfortunately. Yeah, so I'm attempting to become fluent in German again. So I have this. This isn't as pretty as my Thai notebook because this is basically just in pencil. Because what this is supposed to be is just me practicing writing in German, but it also has to do with like if I'm reading in German or watching a show in German and a word comes up that I'm not 100% sure about, then I will write it down and translate it into Swedish. That's kind of like what this is meant for. And then another thing that I want to talk about before going into this is my reading journal. I have absolutely loved setting this up. Like every single month I work on this, do spreads for that month, and I track my reading in this. And I absolutely love that I have a place to track my reading. And that is also something that I felt like I want this kind of thing, but for languages, for the 2 languages that I'm working on. So that is also definitely something that I felt like I love doing this, journaling and this for tracking my books. So I wanted to have that for languages basically. And it's also a great motivator because with this, I know that I can keep up with it. And so it's nice to have for reading and for languages, and I could set them up at the same time. The last thing I want to talk about a little bit before going into the journal is the textbooks that I use. So for German, I have this textbook called German Tutor. It says Advanced Beginner to Upper Intermediate, which I think is great. Even though I am not a beginner when it comes to German, like I do recommend if you are on a specific level in a language, pick a textbook or something below your level, just 1 step below or 2 steps below, to gain confidence, to come into a flow. If you start where you are, you can very easily feel like you hit a roadblock. But if you start below your level, then you will feel like, oh, this is easy, and you will get into it. And by doing that, you will start below your level, and with that flow and that confidence that you build, because you know that part before your level, like you're beneath your level where you start, and then you pass your level and you like improve in like a more fluid, a more smooth way. So I have this, which is like advanced beginner, which I'm not. But I do think it's nice. It's just like a textbook. I write in it, and it has a key at the end. And then the other thing for German that I have is this giant. Like, look at the size difference. But this is German grammar or German university grammar for beginners. Even though it says for beginners, this is for adults. And when it says like for beginners, it is. You can read it if you are a beginner to German and German grammar. I decided to get this because when I studied in university to become a teacher in Swedish and English, we had to have this for English and Swedish. So Swedish university grammar for beginners and English university grammar for beginners. So I felt like I could get my hands on the German one as well. And I feel like my grammar when it comes to German is not as clean as it used to be. Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to introduce first. So then we have this. And this, I already had this. I got this notebook before I got this one. And as you can see, there are some differences in size. It is literally the same apart from color. So this is turquoise and this is black. I had this first because I had another idea for it that I wanted to do, but I ended up not doing that idea. Like I started it, did 2 spreads, hated it, ripped those 2 pages off. And then I started doing like the language journal thing. So this is what it looks like, the first page. To have another language is to possess a second soul. I love that quote. I think it's a really beautiful quote. And then we have this spread, which is for Mondly. It's an app that I use for Thai, and it's kind of like Duolingo, but you pay for it. The thing is that with Duolingo, it doesn't have Thai, so you can't learn Thai through Duolingo, which I understand that it's a difficult language to include, but this is kind of similar. I do prefer Mondly, if I'm honest. There are some things with Duolingo that I don't vibe with, but I do really love Mondly. So I have this, and all of these are the categories, and then I will write when I finish that unit or that category here and here, and then just fill in the boxes as I finish that lesson. The ones in gray up here, I already finished before starting this journal, and just to keep track of which ones I finished already and which ones I will finish as we go. The next one we have German, so we'll take this out. So German Tutor, it's this book. So I have all of the units for that book, and the all of the boxes are the assignments and exercises to do. And then in purple, because I forgot about this, so that's why I added it this way, purple is of course this book, this giant. So it looks like this, and each number is a different part of grammar. For example, verb, adjective, numbers, articles, that kind of stuff. And each box is a subheading within that. So for an example, we can have pronouns. So you can have possessive pronouns, personal pronouns, that kind of thing, reflective pronouns. And those are then subheadings within pronouns. The next thing we have is my writing prompts. I have a few for German and Thai. You will later know why I have it like this. So for Thai, we have introduction, facts about Thailand, why I'm learning Thai, introducing my cats. I have 2 cats, so I could do that twice or one for both of them. Then a recipe, favorite foods, describing my city, hobby, explaining X, sports, and poems. Some of these are in both. So for German, we have favorite show or book, a city or country I'd love to visit, an itinerary, meaning like a travel plan, facts about X, describing my city, a book or film review, then a tutorial, so like a how-to thing, then sports, a retelling, meaning like I would pick a story and retell it. And then we have diary entry and poem. And the whole thing with this is that I try to do that we have more basic, simple things, because I'm not as advanced in Thai as I am in German. So for German, we have like more in-depth things, like a review, a retelling, those kinds of things that I can go more in depth with and, you know, make longer, that needs more vocabulary than this side. Even though I do want to push myself to get better at Thai, which is why some of them are a little bit more difficult, but they're doable with a limited vocabulary. Then we move on to my first spread for a month, because after those, they're like the year-round general tracker for like progress, and then I will do month by month. And the main difference between this journal and this journal is that this journal is for 2022. This is just one year journal, so this will only be for the entirety of 2022, whereas my language journal is going to be for as long as it has space. I am not going to quit on it when it's New Year's. That's also why I was okay with starting off in August, because it doesn't have to do with anything related to the year. Like this, I have 1 year of reading is basically what this is. Track my reading for the entire year stats, the books I've read this year, stuff like that. So this only works for 1 year, and this language journal will continue. But we start off with this. So here we have the letters to myself, and they're kind of, in these we have a little paper, And it's in these, on August 1st, I would write a letter in the language of the flag. So that is what the writing prompts are for. So I will pick a prompt, or if I'm not feeling any prompt, I can do something else. And I can pick for my German letter, if I don't feel like doing any of the German prompts and I really want to do one of the Thai prompts, I can do that. But the point is to write one letter each month to myself. And it does, like, a letter, it can be like a review. It doesn't have to be, you know, written as a letter, but they're put in these envelopes. I refer to them as letters. And that is a way for me to practice writing, see like my vocabulary, but it's also a way for me to see the progress that I make. So in like December, when I do this for December, I can look back on August, pick out like the letter and read and be like, oh my god, I have like the progress that I've made. I've come so far when it comes to writing in this language, like the vocabulary, all of that, the grammar, all of it is a lot better today than it was when I did for August. That's kind of like the goal of this. And then it says August in Thai and German. So then here we have my goals, if it can focus on it. And the whole structure of this is Thai is always first and then German. And because both flags have red in the cup, in their flags, because both flags have red on them, I decided to do like red as the main color throughout the journal. And then Thai has blue and German has yellow. So the extra color for German is yellow and Thai is blue. So my goals for August for Thai is full score on Thai numbers. For July and June, I did like I showed you in my main language journal for Thai, I had all of the letters of the Thai alphabet, and my goal in July was to complete it, get a full score 3 days in a row, and then I can stop. And I did. I completed that. So the first goal for August is this. So this is the numbers 0 to 10, and then 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, and 1 million. And the reason I wanted to do this is I feel like numbers are relatively easy for me to learn. So I wanted to start off with learning numbers. And also with numbers, it's very, like, I love the structure of Thai when it comes to this. It's very similar to how Swedish numbers work, that you have like how you put them together to make bigger numbers. It's very similar to Swedish. Like in English you have, you know, 30, but in Swedish it's 310, and in Thai it's also 310. And that's kind of like, I really love that because that structure is very similar to what we already have in Swedish. So like that makes sense to me to learn, and that means that with these, only knowing these numbers, I can write very big numbers. I can create any number. I can understand any number just by knowing these. And that's why I wanted to start off with getting full marks on that. So the first goal of August for Thai is full score on the Thai numbers. And I have 3 boxes here, if you can see it, meaning that I want to have it 3 times. So the main goal is to get the box on the absolute right checked off. So 3 times, if I just check 1 box, that's fine, but I need to check at least 1 box. The next one is Thai videos for beginners. So I want to watch 3 Thai videos for beginners. That can be like a lesson in Thai. For beginners, it can be a short video that is kind of like learn Thai for beginners, and it's 100% in Thai. It can be anything, but it has to be something Thai for beginners, because I don't want to go too advanced. And then the next one is finish translating Is This Love. I love that song. It's an absolutely beautiful song. I absolutely adore it. I have translated 2/3 of it in this one, but I haven't finished it yet, so I want to finish it in August. And then the last one is 4 monthly units. So as I showed you in the beginning, so these 4 of these I want to finish. And if I only finish 1, that's fine. But as long as I check one box, that's fine. And then for German, I have a free German tutor unit, so the red book. Then Aristoteles and Dante pages. I need to finish that book. I always forget that I have to read that book. So my goal is to read over 100 pages, but if I only read over 50, that's fine. But I need to read at least 50 pages to check one box by Aristoteles and Dante. Then German TV, my goal is to watch 5 things in German. That can be one TV show episode, it can be movie, anything like that. At first, I felt like, okay, I will count a TV show. Then I felt like, no, like a TV show, if it's 40 minutes long each episode, I can't, only count one TV show. Like, I have to count episodes if they're so long. Like, it would be very mean to me if I would count 5 TV shows separately. So I count episodes or movies for this if the episodes are longer than 30 minutes. Like, if it's a 10-minute episode, I don't feel like I would get enough out of it to be able to count it, if that makes sense. So 5 German TV things. And then we have Dld Deutsch. It's an app that I absolutely, I really enjoyed that app. It's like a very simple app to use. It's completely free. What you get is you get a noun in German, and then you have to pick, is it der, die, or das? Which article is used for this noun? And my high score is 10 in a row. Not very happy about that, but 10 in a row is fine. It's not really fine, but it's what I have. So my goal for August is to get over 10, beat my high score. If I get over 5, that's fine, but my main goal is over 10. So that's the main spread for August. Each month will look like this as the first one. I would just switch out the goals. But this is like the format that I will do. And then we have daily practice. So this is the tracker. For Thai, we have daily Mondly, Thai TV, Thai numbers test, and journal. So I will fill in each day that I do that, so that I will see like an overview. How many days did I actually focus on these things? Did I do it like 5 days in total, or did I do it every single day? Like, that's what I want to find out. And then we have the same but for German. And then I will have German tutors. So how many days will I spend with the red textbook? How many days will I watch some German TV? How many days will I work on German grammar? And how many days will I spend reading Aristoteles and Dante? So some of these you've noticed connect to the goals. And again, the colors. Blue for Thai, yellow for German. I don't know how well you can see the German with the yellow though. And the next one, which is the last one, is the numbers test. So this is where I will track the numbers test. So I will up here write the date. So 1st of August, for example, and then I will write, did I get it right? If I got it right, I will do like a number. I will do 1, so like a line just because I can only get 1 point for each. We will see when I reach 16, which is the amount of points I can get. I left this empty because I don't know if I will need to track something else. And then the next one is going to be the next spread for September. But I wanted to keep this empty just in case I will need something. Otherwise, I will do a pretty, page with like a quote or something. Maybe I will do favorite words of the month. I haven't decided yet. Like, that could be a very fun idea. Favorite new words I've learned. That could actually be a very nice idea. I will think about that. But that's how my reading journal or my language journal looks. And I will just, as I said, I will just keep track of my progress and all of that in here. But I will focus on learning the languages in these 2 for German with the help of these 2. I don't have a textbook in Thai. So far, I feel like I don't need a textbook for Thai, but I don't know if I will need one or not. I was thinking of getting like a Thai textbook in German. So a Thai textbook for German learners. Might do that. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So far, it's fine doing the way that I've done. Just watching videos for learners of Thai, working with Mondly, doing that kind of thing. Like, it works so far, so I don't know if I will need a textbook, but I do love that I have textbooks for German at least. It's a little bit interesting that I have one textbook for English learners of German and one for Swedish learners of German. I should probably have gone for a Swedish textbook instead of German tutor, because Swedish is very similar to German in a lot of ways. I mean, like, Swedish is more similar to German than English is similar to German. So that might have been a mistake on my part, I don't know. Like, it's a good way if you have like a language that you want to get better at that isn't your first language. Like, English isn't my first language, so it's always good to keep up with it in a way that I didn't with German. Like, that's something that I find really difficult. It's so easy to find like shows and books in English, but it's not as easy to find books and shows in German. I feel like it's a lot more easy to find shows in Korean than in German. So like, that is a difficult part. I wish that I had like one of the streaming services that I have had more German shows to make it more easy to get into German shows, because I watched pretty much everything that was in German. There are 5 shows on Netflix that, or maybe not 5, 3 shows in Netflix that I'm really excited to watch. I just haven't yet, and I really love having this, that I can track that and keep track of like these shows I want to watch, and this is like the shows that I'm watching. Maybe that is something that I should keep track of as well, like listing all of the shows, songs and stuff like that in the language. I'm gonna do that. I love that idea. That could be like the last page that I did, just a list of all of the languages that I absorb in that language. So songs in Thai, songs in German, Thai TV shows, what TV shows did I watch? Because I do track my daily progress or daily tracker for TV shows or Thai TV and German TV. So I could do that. Like, I love that idea. I'm gonna do that. That's what I'm gonna add. But that's like how I'm tracking my language learning and all of that. It's a little bit interesting that I have all of this and these 3 for a language that I used to be basically fluent in, and this for a language that I am very beginner in. I just find that kind of funny. Usually it's the opposite. You have more books and textbooks and stuff for a language you're not intermediate in. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Are you learning any languages? I would be very excited to find out. I love languages, that's it. Like, I just absolutely love languages. But again, thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.